Most of you aren't subscribed. Make sure to bounce that subscribe button, as it helps out the channel. Without further ado, with Rimuru rushing to assist the lizardmen, accompanied by the Kijin and the Goblin Riders, Rimuru gets a message from Sue, asking for permission to assist several lizardmen engaging with the orcs. Granting permission, Rimuru and gang arrive on the scene, noticing Sue had slayed all the orcs. Greeting Gabiru's sister, Rimuru tends to her wounds, only for her to beg Rimuru to save her father and Gabiru. With Shiin accepting the request, and Rimuru forming an alliance with the lizardmen, we cut to the swamp. Panning over the battlefield, we see Gabiru's forces dwindle, as they are overwhelmed following Gabiru's foolish instructions. Surrounded, Gabiru has no choice but to stall, challenging one of the orc leaders to a duel. Accepting Gabiru's offer, the orc leader makes use of an ability, Chaos Eater, which attempts to consume Gabiru whole. Dodging the orc's advances, Gabiru ultimately falls to the orc's insane strength. Facing death, Gobta steps in saving Gabiru, who mistakes Gobta to be the true leader of Rimuru's village. With Ranga accompanying Gobta, we witness several explosions go off in the heart of the orc army, revealed to be the work of Benimaru, Shiin and the old man. With the three stating that the orc in front of them are the ones who raided their village, Benimaru continues to unleash these explosions across the battlefield. Whilst Rimuru watches from above, we see the orc leader taunt Ranga and Gobta. Having struck a nerve, Ranga unleashes a tempest ability, creating several tornadoes which conjure lightning, striking and killing the orc leader. Amazed at Ranga's abilities, we see Shiin, Benimaru and the old man are all powerful. Meanwhile, Sue had been able to find Gabiru's father, filling him in on their alliance with Back with Rimuru, we see him spot the orc lord from above, deciding to end this once and for all. Before Rimuru is able to engage the orc lord, he's interrupted by the Majin Gelmid. Blaming everyone for ruining his plans of creating a demon lord, Gelmid orders the orc lord to ravage Rimuru's gang. When the orc lord doesn't budge, Gelmid is forced to attack Gabiru and his men first, but Rimuru steps in to show off Gelmid's powerlessness. Healing Gabiru's men, Rimuru easily sweeps Gelmid off his feet. Completely at a disadvantage, Gelmid once again attempts to order the orc lord to do his bidding, but is swiftly decapitated by his very own creation. Having killed his master, the orc lord devours Gelmid's corpse, which triggers a transformation, transforming the orc lord to Orc Disaster, an official demon lord. With Benimaru asking Rimuru to allow his team to deal with the Orc Disaster, we see Shiin rush towards the creature, fueled with hatred for what the orcs had done to her village. Whilst Shiin clashes blades with the Orc Disaster, the old man cleanly severs the Orc Disaster's head. Believing it's over, everyone is shocked to see the Orc Disaster reattach his head. Following up, Sue steps up, encasing the creature in a webbed cocoon, with Benimaru burning the cocoon and Ranga striking the cocoon with lightning. Appearing out of the smoke with several burns and scratches, Rimuru is in awe, seeing such a creature withstand several powerful blows. With one of the Orc Disasters offering his body to be devoured by his king, the Orc Disaster regenerates, following it up with an attack on the gang. Swallowing the Orc Disaster's attack, Rimuru now engages the creature, calling on Great Sage to fight the Orc Disaster for Rimuru. With the Orc Disaster attempting to devour Rimuru with its ability, the Great Sage is able to react immediately, severing one of the orc's hands, leaving a blue flame at the wound, to prevent the Orc Disaster from regenerating. Next, the Great Sage follows up, by clashing blades with the orc, completely melting away its blade. Stepping back, the Orc Disaster gets rid of the flame, burning at his wound, only to regenerate his arm. Now on the offensive, the Orc Disaster shoots several projectiles at the Great Sage, distracting it long enough to grab a hold of Rimuru's body. Attempting to break free, the Great Sage attempts to light the Orc Disaster on fire, but it's apparently fire-resistant. Having underestimated the Orc Disaster, the Great Sage is told to rest, as Rimuru takes back control of his body. With the Orc Disaster taunting Rimuru, it attempts to devour Rimuru, only for Rimuru to make use of his predator skill, encasing the enemy in his slime. Realizing there is no way to stop Rimuru from devouring him, the Orc Disaster's life flashes before his eyes. Knowing that his sins will be cleansed upon his death, he thanks Rimuru for finally quenching his hunger, and setting the other orcs, under his curse of unending hunger, free. With the battle over, Benimaru thanks Rimuru for avenging his village, swearing complete loyalty to Rimuru. With no threats left, Trainee the Dryad organizes a meeting between the lizardmen, orcs and Rimuru's village, discussing how to proceed. With Rimuru speaking, he states that he doesn't intend to charge the orcs for attacking and giving in to cursed power, as it was for their own survival, and anyone would have done the same. Therefore Rimuru offers to form a complete alliance with the lizardmen and orcs, with the lizardmen providing fresh water, and Rimuru giving the orcs a place to stay. Rimuru will have the orcs perform all the manual labor. Satisfied with the conditions, Trainee announces the formation of the Jura Forest Alliance, with Rimuru as the leader of the council. With the orc leader officially apologizing to the Majin, Rimuru decides to name the leader, Geld, and the lizardman leader, not willing to sentence his son to the death penalty. Abaru exiles Gabiru, hoping he'll grow from this experience. Elsewhere we see a demon lord, Clayman, watching the entire conflict play out, scheming what he should do next. Several months later, we see the orcs have put in a significant amount of work, having finally built toilets, roads and sped up the creation of homes, which Rimuru finally deems a place to live. Suddenly, Sue alerts Rimuru of the Dwarf King visiting the village. Having heard of Rimuru slaying a demon lord, the orc disaster, and having powerful followers, like the Majin, the Dwarf Lord intends to see if Rimuru can be trusted with such power. Challenging Rimuru to a duel, Trainee appears as the mediator to the match. With the Dwarf King using one of his strongest moves, Rimuru compares it to moves he's seen before, easily anticipating and blocking the strikes. With Rimuru deemed the winner, it's revealed that the old man was the one who trained the Dwarf King, when he was younger. Now knowing Rimuru can be trusted, the Dwarf King offers to ally with Rimuru, which Rimuru gladly accepts. The next day, the Dwarf King forces Vesta to work for Rimuru, to atone for his ego, having tried to bully Rimuru with his status previously. Additionally, Gabiru and his followers have made their way to Rimuru, pledging allegiance to the slime. With no other option, Rimuru names all of the lizardmen, along with giving Vesta a place to perform experiments. Elsewhere, several demon lords gather, rewatching Rimuru's domination over the orc disaster. With one little girl impressed with Rimuru's power, she makes her way to Rimuru's village. With a powerful entrance, she introduces herself as a Dragonoid, Milam Nava. Marking Rimuru as her prey, she notes that Rimuru must be the leader of the village, having read Rimuru's power level with her all-seeing. Questioning Rimuru's true form, Rimuru transforms back into his human form, attempting to question Milam's reason for appearing. Before Milam is able to respond, she is attacked by Rimuru's followers, assuming Milam was threatening Rimuru. Easily dispelling everyone's attacks, Rimuru is forced to intervene, conjuring a golden substance, and shoving it into Milam's mouth. Revealed to be honey, Milam is instantly hooked, asking for more. But Rimuru offers her more of the delectable substance, only if Milam promises to protect Rimuru's village and become Rimuru's friend. Accepting, Rimuru is relieved, but is forced to announce to the entire village that the entire village is now under the protection of the demon lord Milam. With Milam as an integral member of the Rimuru's village, we cut to Vesta showing off his improved 99% healing potion, having learned from Rimuru and bridging the 1% gap. Satisfied, Rimuru is suddenly called to the town center, as there is trouble. With Demon Lord Carrion sending one of his men, Phobio, to greet Rimuru, Phobio is disgusted to see such a lowly creature lead the village. Having insulted her best friend, Milam knocks out Phobio, hoping to gain praise from Rimuru. Instead, Rimuru takes this opportunity to train Milam to not always resort to violence, reprimanding her. Sitting down with Phobio, the conversation goes nowhere, as Phobio refuses to talk to a lowly slime, leaving as he's also afraid of Milam and the Majin. Asking Milam for the names of other demon lords, Milam gladly reveals 3 other demon lords, Demon Lord Clayman, Demon Lord Carrion and Demon Lord Frey. Elsewhere, we see several adventures, led by Yume, their leader, make their way toward Rimuru's monster village. Running into some familiar adventures, the entire gang faces several wild creatures, only to gain further support from. Led to the village by Gobta, Rimuru greets the representatives, visiting from neighboring kingdoms, Blumund and Falmouth. Hearing Rimuru had allied with the Dwarven Kingdom, confirmed by Vesta, the representative for Blumen, also intends to ally with Rimuru, as such a power should not be opposed. Wrapping up the meeting, Rimuru intends to include Falmouth, by spreading a rumor that the adventurer Yum was the actual one to defeat the orc disaster, and that Rimuru only assisted. This helps both parties, as Yum would gain status, and Rimuru's village will gain credibility as monsters that assist humans, and not just powerful creatures that may threaten humanity. Thinking over Rimuru's offer, Yum accepts, pledging his loyalty to Rimuru. Elsewhere, we see Demon Lord Clayman talking about his next plan to wipe out Rimuru, intending to resurrect Charybdis, and have it attack Rimuru's village. That night, we see Phobio, embarrassed to return to Demon Lord Carrion, having not made any significant progress on his mission. Approached by several clowns, under the instruction of Demon Lord Clayman, the clowns guide Phobio to a mysterious cave. Back with Rimuru, we see the gang seeing the adventures off, only to be interrupted by Trainee's younger sister, Tria, who warns Rimuru of the incoming danger of Charybdis, ruler of the skies. Having been resurrected, Rimuru prepares his villagers, having the orcs suit up and the lizardmen take to the sky. Taking out several of the smaller enemies, we see the Dwarfen Kingdom send over several of its knights to assist Rimuru. Having made decent progress on the enemy, the gang attempt to attack their leader, but realizes that the creature is able to regenerate whilst shooting hundreds of scales, to fend off attacks. With Rimuru devouring all of the Charybdis's attacks, Rimuru notices Phobio as the power center of the Charybdis. With no other options, Rimuru allows Milam to let loose, destroying the Charybdis's body but leaving Phobio's body intact. Healing Phobio, he apologizes to Rimuru, having attacked them. Revealing that he was influenced by some clowns, Rimuru is able to figure out that Demon Lord Clayman was behind such an attack. Apologizing for Phobio's carelessness, Demon Lord Carrion makes his entrance, punishing Phobio and swearing to never attack Rimuru's village again. With Rimuru thanking Milam for her services, Milam returns to her duties as a demon lord, claiming she'll be gone for a while. That night Rimuru is reminded of the students, planning now that he should raise the students just like Shizu had been doing, before her passing. Therefore the next day, Rimuru heads to the kingdom of Ingrasha, intending to visit the headmaster of the students' school. Greeting Yuki Kagarizaka, Yuki immediately attacks Rimuru, sensing something suspicious about Rimuru's body and mask. With Yuki revealed to also be summoned from Japan, Rimuru fills Yuki in on his entire life story, including Shizu's death. Sad about the outcome, Yuki reveals he taught Shizu, and that he would love to learn about what had happened since he left Japan. Bribing Yuki with manga, Rimuru is accepted as an official teacher for the students. Heading to the students' class, Yuki informs Rimuru of Hinata, a girl who was taught by Shizu and had surpassed Shizu's abilities. Additionally, it's a fact that people summoned to this world are unable to live longer than 5 years, assuming they don't do anything with their lives. Keeping that in mind, Rimuru greets the student, calling off their names for roll call. The students go by the following: Kenya, Ryota, Gale, Alice and Chloe. Having ignored Rimuru, Rimuru summons Renga to get their attention. Realizing the students only respect Shizu, Rimuru attempts to prove his strength by challenging the five, to allowing the students to strike Rimuru as they may. Rimuru easily defeats the students' fire sword skills, water spells, light bullets, berserker mode attacks and adorable pet attacks. Ultimately acknowledging Rimuru as their teacher. Later on, Rimuru is forced to attend a celebration, due to his new position as a teacher. Greeting a higher up in the kingdom, Rimuru learns of the dwelling of the spirits, which he intends to use to help the students grow stronger. Entering the forest housing the dwelling of the spirits, Rimuru and the students venture through a labyrinth. Having defeated a golem, Rimuru calls for the mysterious presence to reveal itself. Greeting Rimuru as Ramirez of the labyrinth, and a demon lord, Rimuru realizes that Ramirez knows Milam. Bribing Ramirez with a cookie, Ramirez leads the gang to the center of the altar, where Ramirez assists Rimuru in summoning spirits to help the students grow stronger. With Gale, Ryota and Alice completed their spirit ceremony. We see a light spirit reveal itself to Kenya during the ceremony, deeming Kenya as a future hero. Next, Chloe is threatened by a powerful spirit during her ceremony, but remains stable even after the spirit had entered her body. With several days passing, Rimuru bids the kids goodbye for now, heading back to his village whilst thinking about all the milestones Rimuru has accomplished so far. The scene ends with Rimuru witnessing one of Shizu's suppressed memories, where Shizu is greeted by a powerful demon, Diablo. Thanks for watching. Make sure to bounce the subscribe button, like